welcome back to a daily dose of good news. I like a good joke. I'm useless at remembering them and not much better at telling them, but I do like a good laugh. Sometimes a good joke can be ruined by over-analysis. What was funny when taken as a whole can lose its appeal when picked to bits. Why did the chicken cross the road? Well, hang on. Before I answer that, why was the chicken on the side of the road in the first place? And have you ever seen a chicken walk in a straight line anyway? At that moment, I forget the punchline. Sometimes when we read Jesus' parables, we have a tendency to do the same thing. We try to make everything connect, to mean something, and we tie ourselves up in knots. Here's one of those stories. While they were listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable, because he was near Jerusalem, and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. He said, "A man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king, and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas. 'Put this money to work,' he said, 'until I come back.' But his subjects hated him, and sent a delegation after him to say, 'We don't want this man to be our king.' He was made king, however, and returned home. Then he sent for the servants to whom he had given the money, in order to find out what they had gained with it. The first one came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 10 more. 'Well done, my good servant,' his master replied. 'Because you have been trustworthy in a very small matter, take charge of 10 cities. The second came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 5 more. His master answered, 'You take charge of 5 cities. Then another servant came and said, 'Sir, here is your mina. I have kept it laid away in a piece of cloth. I was afraid of you, because you are a hard man. You take out what you did not put in, and reap what you did not sow.' His master replied, 'I will judge you by your own words, you wicked servant. You knew, did you, that I am a hard man, taking out what I did not put in, and reaping what I did not sow? Why then didn't you put my money on deposit, so that when I came back I could have collected it with interest?' Then he said to those standing by, 'Take this mina away from him, and give it to the one who has 10 minas. 'Sir,' they said, 'he already has 10. He replied, 'I tell you that to everyone who has, more will be given. But as for the one who has nothing, even what he has will be taken away. But those enemies of mine who did not want me to be a king over them, bring them here and kill them in front of me.'" Rather than try to work out what every part of the parable means, or who each character is meant to be, let's go back to Dr. Luke's explanation. Jesus told them this parable because he was near Jerusalem, and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. Jesus knew expectations were high among his followers. Jerusalem, the royal city, the place for kings, was going to crown Jesus. One day, Jesus will be proclaimed King of Kings over all the earth and will reign forever. But Jesus knew that day was not imminent as his followers had thought. Therefore, there would be a time gap when he would be absent. What would be the response? His enemies would deny his return, seeking to stop his reign. His followers, those he would entrust with his message, his gifts, how would they respond during his time of absence? If you are one of his followers, how are you spending this time waiting for his return? Are you just holding on to what Jesus has given you? Or are you putting it to use for his benefit? See you tomorrow.